If you've been posting content on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts, but have struggled to make high quality content, one of the quickest ways you can improve is by getting better at editing. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Your video idea and your video script are like the ice cream of your ice cream sundae, and the editing is like your toppings. But as we all probably know, if the toppings on your ice cream sundae stink, then it can ruin the whole sundae. And a good or bad edit is the same exact way, because a bad edit can hurt your video just as much as a good edit could help your video. Now, I know this because I've edited hundreds and hundreds of videos across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. I have over 120,000 total followers across all of the platforms. I've done hundreds of millions of views, tens of millions of likes, and I've made a good amount of money while doing it. And the best part about editing now is that you don't need any fancy equipment. All you need is a laptop and CapCut, and you're pretty much set to go. So in this video, I'm going to do a live demonstration of how I actually edit my own videos. We're going to post a video and then see how well it did, see how much money it made, and also see where we can actually improve the next time. If you do enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I post videos just like this every single week talking about topics similar to this one. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, here we are in CapCut. I'm going to walk you through this whole edit from start to finish. This video is going to be about Jalen Hurts specifically. There was this list that came out where he was ranked the 17th best quarterback by some NFL executives, and I'm making the claim that that is a ridiculous place to put him. Here's what it looks like when you pull up CapCut desktop for the first time without really uploading anything at all. So in the top left here is where you can actually, change what you're working on. So you can change from your media, you can scroll over to audio, you can choose different text, different effects, transitions, captions, filters, stuff like that. One thing to note is I don't know like the actual terminology for what these are called. This is just kind of what I call them. So I just call this like my tools window. So the top left is your tools window. Right next to that is your preview window, which once you actually start to go ahead and like upload some media and start actually editing, you'll see a preview of the video in this big window in the front. This details tab, it's gonna look kind of default for right now, but once you actually start to upload videos and start to tweak settings for filters and change how long effects last and stuff like that, this will start to show more information here on that right-hand side. So we like to use that a lot for keyframes. We use it a lot for changing how strong filters are, which I'll explain what all that is as we go through this. And then this bottom wide window here is your actual timeline. So this is where you can actually drag your clips in. This is where you can split clips up. This is where really all the magic happens in this bottom row here in the timeline. So let's get into it. So to start off, you're gonna click this media box up here in the top left. Then we're gonna click import. Now, I already have a folder with all the different clips that I'm gonna be using. I actually record all my videos on my phone. So you'll see like this iPhone recording right here is actually the raw recording that I use for my videos. But anyway, we're just gonna drag this or import this whole entire folder. And you'll see once I open it, we have a couple images. We have the list that I was talking about. I have some specific Jalen Hurts B-roll here. And then I just have some overall NFL footage, which I'll use throughout the video before I actually reveal that the quarterback is Jalen Hurts. So I always like to drag in the main video first, which is just the A-roll. Now I'm showing up in the preview window here. One thing that I always do when I start out is, for some reason in my niche, we all edit in the 1-to-1 ratio. I don't know why they do that, but that's just how it is. So if I click this ratio button here, here's where I can actually change all of the different aspect ratios. Now, normally for a TikTok, you would do 9:16, which it looks like it would fit, the whole video for on an iPhone, which it doesn't look that bad, to be honest with you. But for the videos that I make and the niche that I'm in for sports edits, we use 1-to-1. One thing too, you can either drag to resize on the actual preview window, or you can use this scale slider here on the detail slide too. So I typically scale this to like 180 just so I fit the whole top to bottom. Now that we have this in here, obviously we're gonna have to start to clip this up and make sure that it sounds good. I do a bunch of different takes and it always doesn't sound great. So I do a bunch of different takes for a lot of the lines. Now I could either go in there and just completely edit it myself, or I can actually use this edit pilot, which is CapCut's AI assistant that will do a lot of repetitive stuff for you. So for example, if I ask edit out the parts where I'm not talking, so now TikTok is going to recognize my speech. It's going to pick up where I'm not talking. Now I can click this little delete button here, and it actually goes ahead and clips out all of the parts that I'm not talking. Now, the thing is, you're still gonna have to clean this up a little bit, mainly because one, I do a lot of takes, so I wanna take out the takes that are bad. While it does clear out some of the parts where you're not talking, you'll see like there is some pieces here where I'm not really saying anything. So I'm gonna do this offline. We'll come back after that. All right, so I just cut out a good bit of it, but it is a little bit long. Typically, I like my videos to be just about a minute long. This one's a minute 13 seconds. So I'm gonna try and trim it down a little bit. I'm gonna try and take out some fluff words. So I'll be right back and then I'll show you what the final look is. All right, I trimmed it down a little bit. I'm happy with this, so I'm gonna play this over just so you can see what it looks like before I start making some more edits to it. There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people around the league, and the reason why makes no sense. The Athletic surveyed 50 NFL executives, coaches, and scouts to rank veteran quarterbacks into tiers. So this isn't a fan poll. These are how people who are actually in the league view these players. But when I saw where one quarterback landed on this list, I honestly could not believe it. Because apparently, NFL executives think that there are 16 other quarterbacks who are better than him. The quarterback that I'm talking about was ranked at number 17, and that's Jalen Hurts. Now, I understand the argument. Hurts is not a perfect quarterback. His passing numbers aren't always elite, and he's benefited from one of the best situations in football. But here's where I disagree. Jalen Hurts has a Super Bowl win and a Super Bowl MVP. He's got more playoff success than most of these guys who are ranked ahead of him. And when you actually compare his production to some of the guys who are ranked a little bit higher on this list, guys like Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, and Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts clearly has the better numbers. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is a top 3 quarterback, but if you're building a team today, are you really going to sit there and tell me that you would rather have 16 other quarterbacks over Jalen Hurts? Because I'm not sure I understand that. And honestly, I'm not sure I understand the Jalen Hurts hate at all. So the next part I do is the next part that I do is I'll start adding in the B-roll. Now with the format of this video, I don't really reveal that it's Jalen Hurts until about halfway through. So that's why I have this video here where it's a bunch of random players. So I can kind of just throw this in here without having to put B-roll of the player that I'm talking about just yet. So it's a good way to kind of hide the reveal a little bit longer. Because if I was just to, put the Jalen Hurts stuff in here and it's just Jalen Hurts, people would, catch on to that and immediately think that, this guy's talking about Jalen Hurts. There's no more reason for me to watch this video. So we're just gonna add some of these clips in here. I'm gonna show you kind of how I do the first couple, and then I'll just do it offline again so you don't have to just sit there and watch me do it all. But essentially, like, I'll just, fill this in. I'll turn the audio all the way down. Let me get rid of this edit pilot. And I like to keep each clip no longer than like 3 seconds just because it just keeps their attention and pacing high. You'll see what I do here. Disrespected by people around the league. And I'm gonna try and clip out the clips that aren't a quarterback. So like, I'm gonna cut this. And by the way, you can do a quick little split. If you when you're selecting the clip that you wanna split, you hold Command and then B, and that'll split it for you right here. And then you can undo that by hitting Command Z, and now you have it back to this. So again, I'm just gonna go through this, find some quarterbacks. I'll add this one of Lamar Jackson in here. I'll just split that, bring it up to where this is, and we'll cut here. Actually, I like Baker Mayfield. There's Baker Mayfield there. So we're gonna cut here, drag it back. So now this part, I actually start talking about the list. So I have the list here in my media library. So I'm gonna drag it in the timeline, and then I'm gonna just sort of zoom out a little bit just so it looks a little bit better. The Athletic surveyed 50 NFL executives, coaches, and scouts to rank veteran quarterbacks into tiers. So this isn't a fan. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it out to that line. I'm gonna split here. Let's drag this away for a little bit. Now, one thing that I like to do to make this graph stand out a little bit off of the actual B-roll is I'll add a little bit of a blur to the main B-roll clip. So you can go to this effects tab in your tools window, and you'll see all these different effects here. You can pick all these different ones. I don't really use them too much, to be honest with you, but one that I do use a lot is blur. And you can just quickly search up blur in this little search box here and hit enter. And then you can pick this one or this one. They're basically the same, it doesn't really matter. But then I'll basically, click into this and I'll drag it above the B-roll clip, but below the chart. And I'll just drag it to the end of that clip. So now you'll see that it looks just a little bit better because it's more concentrated on the list. We'll leave it at that for now. At this part, I'm gonna bring in the B-roll again, and I wanna bring up the list one more time because, again, I'm still talking about the list and I want it to be there as a visual representation. So I'm gonna just copy this. So just, you click on the clip and hit Control C or Command C, depending on what operating system you're on. But now that you see my timeline's at the spot where I want to, bring it. So I'm gonna, just click Command V to paste it. And then I'm even gonna copy this blur effect too. And I'm gonna paste it here again. I'm gonna play it real quick and just cut it off where I stopped talking about that part. But when I saw where one quarterback landed on this list, I honestly could not believe it. Okay, so I'm gonna split here, split here. All right, so now I'm just gonna go in and start doing this for the rest of the video. I don't wanna have to hold you this entire time. I think you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna keep doing this and then we'll touch base afterwards. All right, I've gone ahead and added most of the B-roll. So I'm gonna just play it over one more time and show you what I did. There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people around the league, and the reason why makes no sense. The Athletic surveyed 50 NFL executives, coaches, and scouts to rank veteran quarterbacks into tiers. So this isn't a fan poll. These are how people who are actually in the league view these players. But when I saw where one quarterback landed on this list, I honestly could not believe it. Because apparently, NFL executives think that there are 16 other quarterbacks who are better than him. The quarterback that I'm talking about was ranked at number 17, and that's Jalen Hurts. Now I understand the argument. Hurts is not a perfect quarterback. His passing numbers aren't always elite, and he's benefited from one of the best situations in football. But here's where I disagree. Jalen Hurts has a Super Bowl win and a Super Bowl MVP. He's got more playoff success than most of these guys who are ranked ahead of him. And when you actually compare his production to some of the guys who are ranked a little bit higher on this list, guys like Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, and Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts clearly has the better numbers. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is a top 3 quarterback, but if you're building a team today, are you really going to sit there and tell me that you would rather have 16 other quarterbacks over Jalen Hurts? Because I'm not sure I understand that. And honestly, I'm not sure I understand the Jalen Hurts hate at all. And honestly, you could probably just post that right there and then, and it would probably do pretty well, but we can make it a lot better. So let's start doing that now. The first thing that I want to introduce is something called a keyframe. And if you don't know what a keyframe is, essentially it is markers that you can add throughout specific clips on the timeline that affect how a specific clip behaves. So I like to use it a lot with zooms and zooms out, and I'll show you exactly how it works right now. So when I start my videos out, I like to have a very quick zoom out, and it's pretty easy with keyframes, and I'll show you exactly how it looks once I do it. So to add a keyframe, we're gonna go to the very beginning of the timeline, and we're gonna click in the details box over here, this little add keyframe button, and you'll know you did it once it lights up in that color. And then I'm gonna zoom it in a little bit. I like to go to like 200%. And now I'm gonna go 3 frames down the track, and you can do that by just clicking on the clip again and clicking the right arrow on your keyboard 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm gonna zoom this. I'm gonna add another keyframe, and I'm gonna take this back down to 80%, which is like our default size. So you'll see when I do this, it's gonna have a quick zoom out. There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely so it looks pretty good. It just starts the video like with more of a fast pace effect. But there's actually one little thing I like to do instead of just that. So I'm actually gonna go back to our second keyframe and turn it up to 184. And then where the B-roll starts, I'm gonna add another B-roll, or I'm gonna add another keyframe on our A-roll, and I'm gonna turn this down to 80. So you see there's gonna be a very sharp zoom out at the beginning, and then after that, it's gonna slowly zoom out even more. So you'll see what that looks like right here. There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely I think it looks much better right there. I think here, we can also start adding some animations and transitions. So I like to do a very specific style, and it's honestly really repeatable. And on the very first clip of the B-roll, I like to add this party flashes effect. And you can do that by selecting the animations tab here on the right-hand side. Once I click that, you can either search for it this way, but I have it saved already. So I can click on my favorites tab here in the top right. And you'll see I have this flashes animation right here. So I'm gonna select that and turn the duration down to 0.3. Actually, I'm gonna do 0.5 actually. And this is what it looks like. Being completely disrespected by people around the league. And the reason why makes no sense. Okay, so now I'm gonna add another transition in between the B-roll and where our chart comes in. I'm not gonna do it in this animation way. I'm actually gonna add a real transition, and I'm gonna add a glare effect. So on the left side here where you see transitions, I'm gonna click that. And again, I have it saved already, but I'll just show you what it would be. So if I search up glare, but I'm not seeing the one I actually like to use. So it might be glare 2 if it shows up. Yeah, so I like glare 2 right here. So I'm gonna click this one and drag it. You can just drag and drop. So I'm gonna drag it in between the 2 B-roll clips. So let's see how this looks. So I think it looks good. I think there's one little effect that we can do. Actually, 2 little effects that we can do. The first one could be an animation that brings in this chart. One that I really like to use for these is this horizontal blur effect. Let's see how that looks. Makes no sense. The Athletic surveyed 50. And then we're also gonna add keyframes for here too. So if I go to the beginning of this chart and add another keyframe for scale, I'm gonna go all the way to the end and increase that by maybe 6%. So about 90%. So we'll see how this looks now. The Athletic surveyed 50 NFL executives, coaches, and scouts to rank veteran quarterbacks into tiers. So this isn't... One thing I'm gonna do now is add a transition that brings me back in. Now, it's kind of weird with this because the way CapCut Desktop works is you can't do a transition directly from a B-roll overlay into your main A-roll track. But if I notice that if I still add a transition in the A-roll, it'll still look fine. You just won't see the beginning of it, but I don't think that's too big of a deal. The one that I like to use for these is this Glitch Flash 2 transition. Again, I have it favorited, but you can definitely search for it as well. So I'm gonna drag this in right where I come back into the main shot. And I'm gonna keep it at that 0.7 seconds duration. And we'll see what that looks like. You'll see that even though it's not over the actual B-roll, it still looks totally normal. Quarterbacks into tiers. So this isn't a... I actually like that little subtle effect that way. One thing that I want to show you too really quick is speed variation with your keyframes, and I can show you exactly the difference. Let's look at this clip if I was just to add, a keyframe at the beginning, and if I add another keyframe at the end with, 195 size. You'll see how this looks now. These are how people who are actually in the league view these players. So it looks fine, but if we want to make it more of a smooth and elegant zoom, we can add something called speed variation. If you click on the clip that you just created those keyframes for and right click it, you'll see this variable speed animation. So once you click into that, you'll see this little line, and sometimes, I don't know why, sometimes it doesn't show all the way for me. If I drag this up a little bit, you'll see it. But if I click on that line, so now you'll see that it's selected because it's highlighted in that color there. And I click on this preset curves. I like to pick either cubic ease or circular ease. I'm gonna pick circular ease for this, and actually I'm gonna pick cubic ease for this one, and we'll see how much better it actually looks. These are how people who are actually in the league view these players. So it looks good too. I'm gonna test it out with circular ease now too. These are how people who are actually in the league view these players. I prefer that one a little bit better, so I'm gonna stick with that one. So once I like it, I can X out of it, and then I can hide the variable speed animation again by right-clicking again and clicking hide. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of do that for the remainder of this timeline here. And then again, we'll come back and show you how it looks at the end. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, we added all of our keyframes, we added our transitions. Let's take a look and see what this looks like now. There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people around the league, and the reason why makes no sense. The Athletic surveyed 50 NFL executives, coaches, and scouts to rank veteran quarterbacks into tiers. So this isn't a fan poll. These are how people who are actually in the league view these players. But when I saw where one quarterback landed on this list, I honestly could not believe it. Because apparently, NFL executives think that there are 16 other quarterbacks who are better than him. The quarterback that I'm talking about was ranked at number 17, and that's Jalen Hurts. Now, I understand the argument. Hurts is not a perfect quarterback. His passing numbers aren't always elite, and he's benefited from one of the best situations in football. But here's where I disagree. Jalen Hurts has a Super Bowl win and a Super Bowl MVP. He's got more playoff success than most of these guys who are ranked ahead of him. And when you actually compare his production to some of the guys who are ranked a little bit higher on this list, guys like Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, and Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts clearly has the better numbers. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is a top 3 quarterback, but if you're building a team today, are you really going to sit there and tell me that you would rather have 16 other quarterbacks over Jalen Hurts? Because I'm not sure I understand that. And honestly, I'm not sure I understand the Jalen Hurts hate at all. We're getting really close. I think that looks really good. I want to add some stuff in the intro because in my opinion, I feel like there just needs to be a little bit more there to really hook the viewer. So what I like to do for these in the beginning is I like to add a little bit of a mystery effect. And I do that by adding a couple different players' headshots. And then in the middle, a black silhouette player, so that it kind of gives like that mystery vibe, like somebody's hidden. So I have some NFL headshots already saved to my computer, and I also have a silhouette added in there. So I'm just gonna drag those into my media library real quick. So what I do is I'll just drag each headshot into the track or into the timeline. I wanna make this all black to just give more like that hidden vibe. So what I'm gonna do is in this adjust tab here on the right, I'm gonna just drag down a little bit till we see exposure, drag that all the way down and turn the contrast all the way up. So now it's a solid black. First, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the point where the B-roll starts. So right here, I'm gonna select all of these, which you can do by holding down Control and selecting each clip here. And then we can split all of these at once by hitting Command B. And then I can delete that right side. So now I just need to resize these a little bit. I'm gonna put our main our silhouette in the middle, and then I'm gonna just resize these guys around it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna bring in a different headshot for CJ Stroud because I don't like how it's just his head. I want a little bit more of like the torso. So I'm gonna add a new one real quick. I'm gonna throw them in here just because that looks pretty good to me. I just wanna add some animations now. So for the guy in the middle, we're gonna add a slide up effect, which again, I have these all saved, but you can search for all these. So I'm gonna click slide up. I'm gonna mute this track so it doesn't, you don't keep hearing myself talk. But I'm gonna hit slide up. I'll set this to about 0.3. I'll go to the Stafford one and I'm gonna do slide left. I'm gonna set this one to 0.3 too. For the Aaron Rodgers, I'm gonna also do slide left, but I'm gonna make that one 0.4. I'm gonna go over to Mahomes, do slide right. This one's gonna be 0.3. And then for Allen, slide right 0.4. And this is how it looks. This cool little effect along with the keyframe zoom out, this looks really cool in my opinion. And then we can see what it looks like with the sound too. I think it looks really good.
There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people around the league.
I think it looks pretty good. It's about 2 seconds. We could even
There's an NFL quarterback.
I may even do something real quick. And you guys are seeing me edit in live in real time right now, so bear with me here. But I'm gonna actually add some more B-roll here. I'm gonna add this Mahomes clip here, and I'm gonna try and add in another quarterback clip right here. I added one more clip, and then the actual intro is a little bit shorter. I think that'll do a little bit better for retention. So let's see what this looks like.
There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people.
Actually, I gotta get rid of this. I forgot to cut off his head. Okay, let's try that again.
There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people around the league, and the reason why makes no sense.
That looks good. I want to add maybe one animation, maybe right here. Let's add it right there.
The league, and the reason why makes no sense.
Right,
The
that
Athletic
looks good.
surveyed 50 NFL.
That looks good. Okay, the next step here is we want to add captions and sound effects and adjustments and filters, and then we're done. So let's start off with the captions. Pretty simple, actually. Again, this is a paid feature, but to do it, you click this captions tab up here, and you can either just generate them, but I actually have this template that I like to use. It's in my favorites one. Now you can pick whatever one you like. I have these favorites one here. There's so many different options. If you go through all these trending ones, you can pick one that you like. I like simple ones, and I go with this one usually. So I'm gonna select this one. Okay, now you'll see that your captions populated on the timeline, and then I just like to sort of change the font and some of the style on it. So I like to go to Anton font. I'll remove all the preset styles, and then I like to just add a little shadow, a little drop shadow. And then this is personal preference, but I like to scale mine to 295%. Don't ask me why, just what I've always done. And I like to put it like right around here. And then you'll see, like, once I hit play, it'll automatically have your captions, and this is all you have to do for that.
There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people around the league.
There you go. Simple as that. The next piece we're gonna do here is add some sound effects. To add these in, you're gonna click audio and then sound effects. And you have so many different ones here. Like you have different whooshes, you have different camera sounds, you have different... I'm gonna pick out a couple that I really like. One that I use for a lot of my videos is this one right here, this wind noise suitable for scene, whatever. And I like to just trim it up so the start and end of the sound is actually in the right spot. And this sound effect is actually way too loud. Like, I'll show you what I mean.
The Athletic.
It's way too loud. So I turn this down a little bit. I like to go like 6.5. I'll do 6.7 for the sake of the meme. So what I'm gonna do is anytime this animation comes up, this little glare 2, I'm just gonna copy and paste it every time that happens. And I like to keep it consistent based off of the effect. So I'm gonna go through and just add it in for all of those glare effects. I want to add in this one random effect that I use in all my videos. If you watch my videos, you probably know what effect it is. It's this random effect that I have from some screen recording video here. I'm just gonna trim to the beginning and trim the end of that little effect. I turn this down to -5. And I take it, oops, didn't mean to do that. Let me undo that. Take it right here. Now you'll recognize this across any of my videos. This is what that sounds like.
There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people.
I use it on all my videos. There's one sound effect that I like to use as well. It's like a little different version of that wind effect. It's this one right here, that one they call it. This says like FUA. And I like to use this one when I'm cutting in and out of the A-roll and B-roll. Right here, I'm gonna add this little camera shutter effect. I'm gonna throw that right here, just like that.
And that's Jalen Hurts. Now I understand the argument. Hurts is...
That looks good to me. We're gonna keep going along here. That's all the sound effects. Now we're gonna add a couple more things. First thing I'm gonna add is my watermark at the bottom. So I just put a little default text thing. So you'll click on text, default text, and then drag it to the top of the timeline. I just put my name. I switch it to this, I don't even know how you pronounce this font, but it's whatever this is, however you pronounce it, that's the font that you choose. I turn it down to 50% opacity, and I'll make it small. And I'll just like drag it in down here, and you can zoom in on the preview window too to like see how it looks. And I just like try and get it in the center, and then I'll take that and drag it all the way to the end. So that's how I get the watermark in there. Now the very last piece of this is adding in your adjustments and adding in your filters. So to get your adjustments, I go to adjustment and this custom adjustment, and then I drag it to above the B-roll, because I don't really like having the adjustments on the different screenshots and the player headshots. I just like it on the actual videos. So I'll drag it above the B-rolls, and then I'll drag it across the whole video. And then in this right-hand tool or right-hand details box, there's a couple things that I like to do. I'll turn saturation up to 5, exposure down 1, contrast to 5, highlight to 5, shadow -5, and I do sharpen 10. And that's all we do for the adjustments. Now for the filters, I like to add just one filter, and that's clear. So I'll drag it right above that. I'll drag this all the way to the end, and then I turn this down to 35, because I don't want it to be too harsh of an effect. We're gonna watch it through one time, and then we're gonna be done, and we're gonna export. So let's see how this looks.
There's an NFL quarterback who is being completely disrespected by people around the league, and the reason why makes no sense. The Athletic surveyed 50 NFL executives, coaches, and scouts.
Okay, one thing I noticed is that I want this whole list to be visible. What I'm gonna do is edit this a little bit so that the text in the captions isn't blocking some of the rankings here. So make it a bit smaller and see how that looks.
Surveyed 50 NFL executives, coaches, and scouts to rank veteran quarterbacks into tiers.
Okay, I like that better. So I'm just gonna copy and paste it into this. Okay, let's watch that back again.
No sense. The Athletic surveyed 50 NFL executives, coaches, and scouts to rank veteran quarterbacks into tiers. So this isn't a fan poll. These are how people who are actually in the league view these players. But when I saw where one quarterback landed on this list, I honestly could not believe it. Because apparently, NFL executives think that there are 16 other quarterbacks who are better than him. The quarterback that I'm talking about was ranked at number 17, and that's Jalen Hurts. Now I understand the argument. Hurts is not a perfect quarterback. His passing numbers aren't always elite, and he's benefited from one of the best situations in football. But here's where I disagree. Jalen Hurts has a Super Bowl win and a Super Bowl MVP. He's got more playoff success than most of these guys who are ranked ahead of him. And when you actually compare his production to some of the guys who are ranked a little bit higher on this list, guys like Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, and Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts clearly has the better numbers. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is a top 3 quarterback, but if you're building a team today, are you really going to sit there and tell me that you would rather have 16 other quarterbacks over Jalen Hurts? Because I'm not sure I understand that. And honestly, I'm not sure I understand the Jalen Hurts hate at all.
I think we're done here. So I'm going to show you how to export this. One thing you might be wondering is where the heck is the music? I actually like to add the sounds directly in TikTok itself. The reason why I like to do that is because one, the audio options for music just aren't great here. It's a lot of like stock music. Like I'll give you an example. See what I mean? Like we're not adding that. So I like to add those straight in TikTok. So I really don't add the music in here. So we're gonna go ahead and export this now. So you'll click this export button. You can name it whatever you want to call it. I'll just call it Jalen Hurts. And then you can just copy the rest of the settings that I have here. And then once you click export, you're good to go. And you'll see that it's in this folder here. And I can go ahead and just upload that straight to YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, or wherever you post it. So that's it, guys. So that's pretty much the entire edit from start to finish. I hope that was pretty helpful, and I hope that you're able to learn some stuff from there. All right, so we're in our TikTok analytics, and you can see that this video made $23. It had 12,000 views. The total amount of people that watched the full video was about 16.23%. I got 12 followers from this video, and the average watch time was about 26.4 seconds. So for a 12,000 view video, I would say $23 is pretty good. And as we can start to scroll down here a little bit more, looking at the retention chart here, you can see, there's not a huge drop off at the very beginning, which would usually signify that the hook was bad. I have a feeling that our script could be a little bit better with retention because there is somewhat of a harsh decline in that slope there, but I'm not seeing anything too alarming. So I'm wondering if another platform will be able to show us that a little bit more. So we're going to go over to Instagram and check it out over there. All right, so we're pulling it up on Instagram now. It actually did a lot better on Instagram as opposed to TikTok. We got 22,000 views opposed to 12,000 on TikTok. The average watch time was a little bit higher too at 28 seconds. Scrolling down a little bit here, I actually really like Instagram's analytics view more than TikTok's. They just show a lot more. Like you can see skip rate, the like rate, everything like that. But as you look right here, you can clearly see where the drop off is right in the middle of the video. And the real reason is if I go to where this point in the video is, where the drop off is it's right where I start talking about Jalen Hurts. So that tells us that we gave the payoff too soon. And once the viewer got the payoff, they scrolled off that video and they stopped watching. So going forward, what we're going to have to do is make sure that we delay that payoff a little bit longer so people watch for longer, and therefore our average watch time goes up, our full watch percentage goes up, and when that happens, the video gets pushed out more, so the video does better. So yeah, next time we know what we're going to do. If there's one thing that I want to prove from this video is that going viral is not random. There is a science that goes into it, and you can tell by looking at a lot of the analytics on the back end. And you saw in that video on Instagram, there was a huge drop in retention right after I gave that payoff. So now I know the next time I make a video, I need to delay that payoff a little bit more. And I guarantee you, when I post with that format, the video would have done so much better. And if you want to see me edit the next video where I actually do that exact thing, let me know in the comments, because I would be happy to turn this into a full-time series. I actually really enjoyed filming this one, explaining how I made all of my editing decisions and showing you guys how much money you can actually make with a video that did 10,000 views. If you did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.